look out. Here come former SportsCenter anchor Bob Stevens, esteemed basketball coach Rich Basirico, and Hall of Fame sports writer Curry Kirkpatrick. And someone's going under the bus.
Hey, Loco sports fans is how I usually open these things. But I am Justin Jarrett. I'm sitting in for Bob Stevens, who is on assignment. I think he's on assignment having a good time. But I'm sitting in for Bob tonight, and it is quite an honor to be with Rich Basirico, a man I've known for a very long time, and Craig Kirkpatrick, a man I've known for a short time, but admired for a very long time, Hall of Fame sports writer, Sports Illustrated, grew up reading you. Rich learned so much about the game of basketball from you, covering your teams at Hilton Head Prep for the Island Packet, and then now getting to work alongside you as a broadcaster for USCB, which we got a new season coming up soon on the Stand Track Game Day Network. But great time to be able to join you guys tonight and hear what you have to say about the world of sports. And we might as well go ahead and start with the NFL, because it is NFL season when it dominates everything. Under the Bus, by the way, presented by Hudson Seafood House on the docks. Great place for seafood, cocktails, brunches, sunsets. I know you guys are frequent visitors, and I'm told the Po' Boys Andrews Way are the way to go. Can you guys weigh in on that?
No, they're the best. They're the best.
Yeah.
Fresh seafood. I mean, they go out those shrimp boats all the time. They're bringing in wonderful shrimp right there. It's great. If you're on Hilton, you gotta
grow their own oysters out there.
Right.
Andrew, small world fact, Andrew's daughter Millie now on my rec softball team, 12 and under. So excited to be coaching her this season. She's a delight. But
small world. Well, Andrew runs the restaurant. Let's give it to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a Hilton Head Prep graduate. He went to Hilton Head Prep.
Exactly.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Great
Rich,
community.
did you coach and teach him, Rich?
No, he played football. I didn't coach him. No.
Well, okay.
But
Speaking of football, let's get into the Philadelphia Eagles. That's the most recent disaster. We're talking here on a Wednesday, and that was on a Monday night. So that's the most recent disaster. I mean, Fly Eagles Fly went to Die Eagles Die in about 56 seconds, right, Rich?
Yeah, that was terrible. That was, Curry, when you watched that game, when Atlanta went down the field, they put no pressure on the quarterback, zero pressure, and Cousins completed every pass going down the field. And then when Philly got the ball back, with some time left on the clock, first play they completed. The next play they came after the quarterback and he threw an interception. You got to put pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, but
it's easy. I mean, I say easy.
Well,
it's not easy, but you got to put pressure on the quarterback.
That was going to be a tough road to hoe for the Philadelphia team after what Cousins did to him. I mean, it goes back to the play after that, which everybody made such a hullabaloo over. I mean, when you've got the ball, Rich, you lead 3, you're on the opponent's 10 with less than 2 minutes to go. You got to win, right? You got to win.
Yeah, of course.
Sirianni, the Philadelphia coach, got a lot of criticism, but he passes in the flat to Barkley, their 40 million guy, and Barkley just drops the ball.
Right.
He can't drop the ball, Rich.
No, I totally agree.
There was a little Schadenfreude
there.
For
Sirianni. I don't.
Well, he's getting hammered because they said he should run the ball, but if he catches that ball, then he's a hero. I've said this before many times. Coaching decisions are easy after the fact. If you knew what the outcome was going to be, then you would have. If you knew he was going to drop the ball, you would have never passed the ball. But Barkley, he's sure-handed guy. I don't think it was a bad call. I really don't.
Well, of course, the Eagles. The Eagles are about on the 10, and a lot of people said, "Well, you should have done." They're famous for the push tush.
Right.
But they're only on the 10-yard line. They're not going to. They may get 2. What I think the complaint was that Sirianni should have used more of the clock. So Cousins and Atlanta didn't have any time, but I thought it was a great play call. And Barkley, your fame. I mean, Rich, Justin, nobody was near him. It's a pass in the flat. It's a 3-yard pass in the flat. It wasn't like anybody was on him. He's open and free. He's got to catch the ball. The game's over.
He was wide open. He catches that ball. You throw that ball to him 50 times. He catches it 49 times.
100. Yeah.
Right?
Well,
You're
of
correct.
course, he does have to get taken another way. Barkley does have a history of drops. I think somebody came up with some stat that he has like
Oh, is that
14 or
really?
15 drops since 21. Well, not to
Right.
mention, this is not new for the Eagles. 4 times last year they lost the game with a lead and with 2 minutes to go. 4 times. So
Wow.
this
Yeah.
is not a new
Hot.
thing for
Well,
them.
it's kind of a classic risk reward thing, right? Because like you can just run the ball and run the clock and kick the field goal and hope that they can't get back down there and kick a field goal, or you can go for the throw and run the rollout pass, and if he catches it, it's over and you look like a genius. But
Right.
you know, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So a lot of times that works out for them, but sometimes it backfires, and you know, at some point maybe it becomes too many times that it backfires. You have to kind of change your philosophy a little bit. But I mean, he's trying to go for the knockout punch. I get it. I respect it.
Well, let
Just
me
didn't work for him.
ask you this. Let me ask you this. Do you think this changes um, the Atlanta quarterback's reputation, because he has never really won big games at night. He's always been criticized for not coming through, with the primetime night
Yeah.
games. And he was great. Rich, you say there wasn't much challenge to him. Uh, uh, weren't challenging the quarterback, but boy, he looked terrific on that drive down the field. I mean, he's very
Oh, he did.
calm,
He did.
and
He did. I mean,
yeah.
Curry, when quarterbacks get that much time to throw and there was no pressure on him, he looks like an all-pro quarterback. A lot of it's the name of the game in the line. If you give him time to throw, and again, when Philly, when they put pressure on Philly in that second down at the end of the game, Hurts his feet, didn't get set. He had to throw the ball up, and he got intercepted. You got to come after the guy. I hate this prevent defense. It drives me crazy. But you got to
Well,
give the guy credit.
Cousins
Oh,
pass. Let me ask you. Let me ask this: Cousins pass, winning pass to Drake London in the end zone.
yeah,
Okay, London does some kind of celebration
inside move. Oh
arrow
yeah, yeah.
going into the sky, and they
Right,
called a penalty on him. What
right.
was that?
Yeah. Well,
What was that?
he looked like he was trying to like he was shooting a gun or something up in the air,
Well,
and the
come on. No, it was a
I understand what you're saying.
superhero arrow in the sky move.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Well,
the,
now and then he had to kick the
it
extra
started
point for
with
how far out? How far out was it with
Some
the extra point?
48-yard extra point. I thought
Fernando
that penalty
Rodney's
was
the one who started it. Fernando
under the
Rodney was
bus.
shooting
Under
thing
the
How
when he
about
was
bus, that
just how about
referee that
score a
called that.
touchdown? How about score a touchdown, hand the football to the official, and celebrate with your
Well,
teammates on the side? Why do you got to do
you
that
got to get your
garbage?
Selly on TikTok. Got to get the
Oh
Selly
my
on.
I
God,
like the celebrations, and I
you
like
do?
that one. And there was nothing to it. If he was being violent, or he was standing up the ref or something like that, or tormenting the other team, he wasn't doing that.
No, he
You
wasn't
know,
doing it to the team. No.
no,
They're
no.
entertainers. Let the gladiators entertain us.
All right. Okay, I gotta bring this up. As bad as the Falcons, well, the Philadelphia Eagles lost, the New York Giants, how they lost the game is beyond me. To have a place kicker who they put on the injury list on Saturday. They put his name on the list because he was injured, even though they felt he could still play. For them not to bring up another kicker is beyond me. The general manager, they throw in the coach under the Dabo under the bus. It should be the general manager. He should have insisted we need another kicker for sure. How do you go into an NFL game and not have a second kicker when you know that your kicker is hurt? Now
Yeah.
they're saying, well, he had a
How
bad hamstring, or I'm sorry, bad groin, but he pulled his hamstring when he kicked off. I don't care what he did. You should have another kicker on the roster when you know he's already hurt. And
Rich,
listen
what's
to
his
this,
name? What's your kicker's name?
Gano.
Graham
Grant
Gano.
Gano.
Yeah.
Grant Gano. Every time I hear his name, it reminds me of the Spanish word guano, which of course is animal dung. In Spanish, it's animal dung. They use it in fertilizer. That's what I think of every time I hear Gano. And of course,
Well,
that's
That's
he's
the
why.
out for a
that's the
while now. He's
that's
out.
the
He's
Giants'
out.
mo.
Yeah.
That's the
How
Giants'
about listening to
resonate.
listen to this stat, Curry? This is only the second time in NFL history, that a team scored 3 touchdowns and the opposing team didn't score any touchdowns, and team with the 3 touchdowns lost. It's only the second time in NFL history that's happened.
Well, and didn't the Commanders sign a kicker off the street this week, and he kicked 7 field goals in that game?
7 field goals. 7.
I don't know. Did they sign him off the street? I don't know. Maybe he kicked 7 field goals.
So it sounds like the Giants should have signed that guy off the
street. They had no business losing it. They're in for another long season.
To me, the Giants are going to be guano all year long, Rich.
Okay, here's another
Which
stat.
Quarterback do you have your eye on, Rich?
I'm sorry?
Which quarterback do you have your eye on now that you're looking at the number 1 pick?
I don't know. I don't want Sanders from the Colorado.
No.
No. There's some good ones out there. We'll see as the season goes on. Yeah. But Curry, you and I spoke earlier today about home field advantage. They put so much emphasis on how important, like when they talk to these analysts, like, oh, they're playing it, in New York or wherever they're playing. This past weekend, there's 16 games. 10 of the visiting teams won. Only 6 home teams won.
And Rich, weren't you saying the same is true? The trend is kind of in college as well.
Yes. Listen, guys.
Huge road win.
I listen to these analysts talk, and in the first week of the college football, they're talking about certain teams going into West Virginia or going into Florida, and then the second week going into Michigan. Mm-hmm. Those teams, they have the advantage. Listen to these scores. Penn State goes into West Virginia, wins by 22. Miami goes into Florida, wins by 24. Boston College goes into Florida State, wins by 15. Texas goes into Michigan, wins by 19. Oregon goes into Oregon State this past week and wins by 35. Bama goes into Wisconsin, wins by 32. And all you hear about these guys, home field advantage. Oh, this team is going to win. They got the home field advantage. Where's the advantage?
How about Northern Illinois?
Well, Rich,
going to Notre Dame. Exactly.
Rich, in some of those instances, the road team was favored.
Yeah.
And Texas was in favor of Michigan. And Oregon State is no contest wherever they play.
Right. But how about South Carolina beating Kentucky in Kentucky by 25?
Well, that's and then the next week Kentucky plays like crazy and almost beats Georgia. It's crazy. It's crazy. South Carolina had a great shot to beat LSU and loses on a missed field goal.
Right. That's right.
Maybe get back to NFL for a moment, I think we should talk about Tua and that situation. Yeah. I know everybody's gone over it for days and days, but I have a kind of a different take on it. And he's like this guy is like the concussion kid. I mean, he's had several concussions at Alabama. He's had several at Miami. And he's got to know, I'm not as sympathetic to Tua as everybody else is. The guy, first of all, is not very big. He's one of the smaller NFL quarterbacks. He's got to know to get down. He's got to learn how to slide. I mean, Drew Brees made a career out of this, keeping out of trouble, going down, staying down, and not getting hurt. Mahomes does. Mahomes knows exactly what to do here. Yep. But and I know all these guys are macho men, but you guys, that game was 31-10 late in the third, and he's diving. He initiated that hit, by the way.
Yes, he did
on the defender. If you look at the replay, and of course, the defender is the guy that almost died of a heart attack on field last year in Buffalo. But Tua, if he wants to keep playing, there's all this talk of should he keep playing? Should he retire? And everybody's got a theory, all these armchair doctors and psychologists. But if he wants to keep playing, you guys, I think he's got to learn to get down and learn how to, stay out of trouble. That thing, and the game was over. You can't make that play at 31-10. You got to just,
You're exactly right, for sure.
Yeah, that was the situation.
You guys think he should retire? Do you think he should retire?
I would have. Well, the last time, honestly, it scares me. It really scares me. I'm worried about what's going to happen at some point if he,
down the road.
I wish his family. I think his mom wanted him to retire last year, didn't she? I think so. But I think his family. I would hope his family would have some say in this. Several ESPN former players came out and said he should retire. And
Right.
Antonio Pierce, the coach of the Raiders, said he definitely should retire. I'm not sure that players aren't ahead of the science on this, because the science is explaining all, how many times he's gotten a concussion and whether this will lead to other concussions. The players are saying, looking at this and saying, wait a minute, he's got to stop. He's got to stop. And he's so prone to this that, that I'm afraid too, what happens the next time.
Yeah, I really am. It's sad because it reminds you of RG3, who also couldn't really adjust his game to match the speed and violence of the NFL game, and his body just didn't hold up. And honestly, I'm a little worried about Jaden Daniels playing in the same place, because that dude is taking some serious hits through 2 weeks. So he could be in trouble
skinny.
too.
He's really skinny.
He's got to learn to protect himself better. Yeah, very skinny. Bryce Young is not exactly working out in Carolina.
Not at all. Number 1 pick. How about that? Number 1 pick.
And
and gave up a lot to get him. Including the next year's number 1 pick.
Right. They gave up a lot of picks for him.
Well, Rich, you keep saying number 1 pick, but everybody wanted him. All the teams wanted this guy.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, and he's the smallest of all of them, right?
But don't you take that in consideration when they always talk about size of hands, how long your arms are, how high you can jump, how all these things they take into consideration. But then all of a sudden, here comes a guy who weighs 100 and what does he weigh? 160 pounds? I mean, I don't know what he weighs, but he's not big. He's not big at all, and that's going to be your number 1 pick. After all these things that you're always talking about, we got to get size, hands, length, jumping ability, how fast we are. And you bring a guy anyway. I mean, I know he had a great career at Alabama, but there's been a lot of great college quarterbacks that can't play in the NFL.
And
so
quite a few of them from Alabama, as a matter of fact.
That's true.
But, that has been a place that has produced guys who were good game managers and ran the system for Saban, but didn't necessarily translate as pros. So he always made me a little spooked just because of that and the factor of the size. But I think everybody was looking for the next Lamar Jackson, the next guy who's like a quarterback and a running back in the same package, because it's like 2 for 1, and it doesn't seem to be him. I heard someone float the idea of Bryce Young to Miami, as a reclamation project if Tua does hang it up, which Miami needs something because they're in a good place right now.
Well, it's interesting. These teams that have their backup quarterbacks, some of them have these young guys, and if their number 1 quarterback goes down, their season is kind of lost. It's lost. Look at the Jets last year.
If you don't have a backup,
Yeah, you can have a veteran backup. You have to have a guy that's played in the league for a number of years. When you're counting on who's the backup for Miami, he played at Kansas.
Tyler Thompson.
Yeah, where's he going to lead him? Skylar Thompson.
Right.
Skylar Thompson.
But he played really well in the playoff game a few years ago when Tua was hurt in the game they lost to Buffalo. He got like 38 points or something. I think that when you mentioned quarterbacks, I was thinking about did you see the Kansas City Cincinnati game, which was a great game?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And of course the Cincinnati trash talk came back to haunt them. This guy Jamar Chase, I'm a little tired of him. He's the guy that said we're the best team and everybody knows it. And then of course he went in and he made he got the penalty for unsportsmanlike when when he didn't like the way the guy tackled him. I mean, come on.
He was going to argue with the ref till the cows came home too. I was showing you my my great friend Sam McDowell, former Island Packet reporter. You know him, Rich. Covered your teams back in the day. He's now columnist at the Kansas City Star, and he brought me some confetti from the Chiefs World Series.
Oh wow! Look at that. How about that?
Great.
Good for you.
Does it have any Taylor Swift scent on it or anything like that?
Nobody, you can never know.
She touched it. She touched that.
Nobody could ever prove nor disprove it.
That's right.
I got a funny.
What else you got from the NFL?
Well, I got a kind of a funny story. It's off the beaten track of the NFL, but it concerns Eli Manning and Tom Brady. I don't know if you saw this, but Eli Eli went after he's kind of gigged Brady, and it didn't work out too well for him. Both of these guys are now associated with British Isles soccer teams, and Eli just caught on with the well, first of all, Tom Brady's part owner of the Birmingham City team, and Eli just caught on with the Wrexham team that's been made famous by the Netflix thing. Yeah. It's owned by Ryan Reynolds and the other movie stars. I can't remember his name. Rob McElhenney, who was at the Emmys the other night. Anyway, Eli went on social network and he said, now that I'm an owner, he said, now I can beat Brady in football and football, which is kind of a funny line. So Brady, of course, went right after him. He got a post. He put up a post, and he's sitting in his what looked like his game room, and he says, I'm trying to working on a response to Eli, but he said, but I can't find any of the other 6 of these. And he brings in his Super Bowl trophy into his lap. And then he says to Rob McElhenney, he says, Rob, please tell some of your Wrexham fans a little bit of the history of the NFL. Great. So anyway, the two teams played Monday night, and Birmingham came from behind to win 3-1. And of course, all these celebrities were. I mean, the game was televised in both America and England.
Wow.
Which it's a 3. What do they call? The clubs are in the 3rd rank of clubs or something.
3rd division.
There's the first rank, 2nd rank. Yeah, division. And of course, Brady had David Beckham with him, and there was huge interest. I mean, these guys made, there's huge interest in this match, and they don't play again until January.
Yeah, that's a lot of practice time.
Brady has fingers in so many athletics teams now. He's a part owner of the Raiders and the WNBA Vegas Stars and the soccer team now. And next thing you know, he'll probably buy into Justin's baseball team, try to run that.
That'd be nice. He might even come out of retirement, go to the Miami Dolphins.
We could use a little cash infusion. We're looking for a head football coach for next season at Hardyville Junior Senior High School. If he wants,
there you go.
Make that as next.
Another name you guys that has come up from Miami is Russell Wilson. Have you heard about this?
That's
Miami might try to get Wilson from Pittsburgh because he's not going to play. I don't think.
No.
Do you think?
Well, they're not going to play both of them. They need to. I mean, that was weird when they went and got one and then the other.
I know, but the other guy from the Bears is doing so. He's not making any mistakes. They've won twice, and they win like they always do with defense. And as long as the quarterback doesn't make any mistakes, they're okay. So I don't know how Russell Wilson's ever going to get in if this guy keeps.
No, Wilson was just insurance in case Fields flopped, I think. And as long as Fields looks the part, then Wilson's superfluous. So
Wilson was going to start the season until he got hurt, and they did name him the starter. But Wilson, there was no investment. It was like they pay him like $1.2 million, which is nothing in the NFL. So really, they bring him in. If he works out, great. If he doesn't, it's no big deal for them.
Well, but if Tua retires and Miami really wants Wilson or go after Wilson, Pittsburgh might give up a couple, high draft picks, and
they might get a haul. Yeah,
use it. Use a haul.
Then it would look like a brilliant move, right? The most puzzling move of the offseason would be the best one. So I don't know. Quarterbacks are a commodity, and
without a doubt,
so
there's a lot of injuries already after the first 2 weeks. There's a lot of injuries in the NFL. A lot.
Big time.
Well, what about college ball? I know, Rich, you must have watched all of South Carolina LSU.
Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and hit the college ball. All right.
Perfect.
We'll be right back here on Under the Bus, presented by Hudson Seafood House on the Docks. And we welcome you back on Under the Bus. Justin Jarrett, Loco Media founder, sitting in for Bob Stevens, the legend from ESPN Sports Center days. He's in one of those This Is Sports Center commercials, guys. That was like,
Is he really?
Yeah.
Which one?
He told me we watched it one day. We found it one day. I forget which one it is, but he can tell you all about it. But
Okay.
yeah, he was talking about when they'd be in there filming those, and it'd be kind of wild to look around and see who all was in there. But those are classics. Also got Rich Basirico here, Hilton Head Prep basketball coach for a long time, well known here in the Low Country and up on Long Island. We got a lot of viewers up there from your old stomping grounds, right?
And, absolutely. They text me every week to find out when it's going to be on.
I love it. And the great Kirkpatrick, longtime sports writer, Hall of Famer, Sports Illustrated, CBS Sports, all kinds of people. You wanted to talk college ball, Curry. What do you got for us? What do you want to dig in on Saturdays?
Well, we spent so much time on the NFL. I know Rich, as I did, watched the Gamecocks, who are a local team in South Carolina here, play LSU. And they had a real shot at that game. They're up 17-0, kind of blew the game, but their quarterback, they really have a find in this quarterback, this young kid named Lenoris Sellers. And he got hurt in the third quarter and left the game. I think it might have been different. I don't know how injured he is, but if he gets back in, South Carolina played some great defense at times in that game. But the thing I was going to ask you guys about, Rich, the officiating, the officials in that game, I thought took over the game. I mean, it seemed like every call was let's look it over. Let's go back and look at the tape, or let's change it. I mean, every long spectacular play seemed to get called back. I mean, South Carolina had 2 pick sixes that were called back, 2 of them.
Right.
And the penalties were on the same guy, their linebacker, Kennard, who actually is the best player in the field. He had penalties on both the pick sixes that called back.
Well, what's interesting with these officials, when they throw their flag, right? Why do they have to discuss, okay, reason you pulled the flag out of your pocket was because you saw something. So why now you have to discuss it with the other officials like, hey, this is what I want to call. Well, maybe I don't want to call it now. I mean, I don't get that. If you throw the flag, then you must have seen something. Stay with your call. Don't change it. You're so right. And that's not the only game. Several games I watched where the officials will huddle up, take a couple minutes, discuss it, and then decide what they're going to do. I don't understand that. I mean, you're throwing a flag because you happen to see something.
Well, and they always say replay, and they're replaying half the plays now. They're replaying everything. And, they're always saying, oh, it just to get it right is the only thing that's important is let's get it right. But they stop the flow of the game so often. It's like and the players must be aggravated also. I mean, it's just, they stop drives, they stop, last minute stuff. It's just, it's aggravating to watch the thing,
Well, it takes the rhythm of the game, doesn't it? I mean, the rhythm of the game, it's going, you're offensively, you're doing certain things, and all of a sudden you got to stop. And what drives me crazy, I'm sure we've talked about this, they show the replays on TV and the announcers say, okay, look, he's out of bounds. They show it in slow motion 5 times, 10 times, and they go, oh yeah, he's out of bounds. And the officials for another 5 minutes are looking at what are they looking at? We can see it ourselves that he's out of bounds. What are they looking at?
How many angles do you need to see? I'll tell you, as somebody who goes out and covers high school football games on Friday night, it's like so noticeable. And sometimes they probably do miss the calls. They certainly do in high school football, but there's something refreshing about it just being the call, and we just go on with the game.
Right. Correct.
It's what it is. It kind of makes me long for it sometimes, because you're right. The 18 different replays to try to slow it down and figure out, come on, man, it looked like a catch in real time. Let's just call it a catch and go on with it. I don't know. I go back and forth on it because we do want to get it right. But how many times do you watch the replay and then you see the call and you're still not actually sure they got it right?
Yeah.
So I just don't know how effective it is.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about the Georgia. They put on their annual lay down against Kentucky, which they do every year. But Kentucky had a real shot to win that game. Even after Georgia finally got ahead late in the game, I thought Mark Stoops, I don't know if you saw the end of it, but you're a coach, Rich. I thought Mark Stoops really lost a chance to make a mark. I mean, he got so conservative trying to come back after Georgia went ahead. Kentucky got the ball, and they're run by the quarterback, who is the quarterback that came from Georgia. He backed up Carson Beck and the other guy in Georgia's national championship drives, and he's Vandergriff, I think is his name, and he's really good. But Stoops was running really conservative plays. He didn't go downfield at all. He was doing a couple passes in the flat, and then he has the ball still with 20 seconds, and he punts it away. He doesn't even try to, go even Hail Mary again. You got to make a mark if you've got the national champions on there, or the pretend national champions on their feet. If you got a chance to win it, you got to go for it. I thought,
especially when you're the underdog. When you're the underdog by, I forgot what the spread was in that game, but they were definitely the underdog by a lot of points.
Oh yeah, a couple touchdowns.
When you have them, you gotta put the punch out. You gotta punch them out. You gotta do it. You gotta go for it. If you go for it and don't make it, okay, at least you're attempting. Well, of course you're attempting to win the game, but you know what I mean. They're gonna get the knockout punch, and they didn't do it.
It's just a give up. It's just a give up when you punt it away, and
they had the ball fourth down in their territory, and they punted. I mean, like you're talking about. Go for it. What are you going to lose? Go for it.
The quarterback's name is Vandergriff, by the way. I got that wrong, but
well, they were too conservative on offense in the red zone the whole game. That was why they settled for field goals all night. If they score one touchdown and score red zone trips to win the game, so I think that's just that's Stoops, man. He's like that old school defense first. A punt is a good play, but that doesn't. It doesn't work when you got Georgia on the ropes and you need to knock them out. So
you got to score
points. A little Sirianni in him there. He needed to go for it.
Well, another team that made a mark this weekend was Pittsburgh that came from behind for the second week in a row after being down double digits in the fourth quarter. They beat who was it? Cincinnati the week before, and then last week they were dead against West Virginia, and all of a sudden, they came to life. And they have an interesting quarterback, Eli Holstein, who left Alabama. He was a freshman at Alabama, and he left Alabama before Saban retired because he knew he wasn't going to get the starting job. And he's terrific. I mean, he's engineered these last minute drives to win both these games. And Pat Narduzzi, the Pittsburgh coach, of course, he ruined everything. After the game, he says, we beat West Virginia in the backyard brawl, and we also beat the officials. He was on national TV. I mean, can't the guy enjoy the win? He goes after the officials right on national TV. I mean, that's not going to put him in good stead the next time he gets a refereeing crew.
No, not at all.
Right?
Some people just don't want to be happy.
You can't, Rich, as a coach, you can't do that. You got it. Right?
No, not at all. You can't win the game. You can't get on the bad side of officials. You cannot get on the bad side of officials because they're human like we are. And they have rabbit ears. That's the problem with some of them. They have rabbit ears. I mean, they're going to stick it to you. I mean, if they're going to stick it to you, I'm telling you, they might say, well, we would never do that. Really? I've seen in close games where the call goes like, whoa.
And you guys, he won the game. He won the game. Right. He still went after the referees.
Officials, you got to know which officials you can speak with. Where you got to kind of. You can get on and raise your voice, and there's some guys you cannot do that. Absolutely not.
And you don't.
You're going to learn the officials in your area, your region, or who do your games. But
I don't think the ACC gets a blackball list like you did at Prep, right?
I never blackballed anybody.
You never blackballed him?
No.
Come on.
I didn't. I swear I didn't. Because I'll tell you why you don't do that, especially in our league, because their buddies will then go to their friends and goes, you know what? I'm not working with anymore. Why not? Because you've been blackballed by that school. And then they come in the gym and say, hey, how come you blackballed my friend? What are you talking about? And they talk about among each other. So that's one thing you do not want to do. Now I might call up the guy who assigns the officials and say, hey, look, do me a favor. Don't assign, this guy. What's the matter? Well, I explain everything and they go, okay, I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. but I never did blackball anybody. I would call
Boy,
officials and talk to them.
I've heard from some coaches and ADs who have maxed out their blackball list.
Sure they have. I think it's a mistake. It really is. Just call the head guy and talk to him about it.
That's
Because
right.
I'm telling you that in our league and probably in the public school league too, they're all friends. They ride with each other to the games. So you and I go to games week after week after week, and all of a sudden go, hey guys, I'm not going with this week. How come? Well, I've been blackballed.
Well,
So
and
now his buddies get him.
They're all doing the best they can. They're not very good. If they were good, they wouldn't be doing those games. You know, they're
exactly.
doing high-level games. Like it is what it is. If we were any good, we'd be playing in the NBA too. You know, like that's what I tell our kids about the umpires. They're not any good. That's why they're doing our games. And,
That's
you know,
not cool. That's not cool.
Well, it's not. But the thing about it is, it's not their perfect. I mean, this
they're
is
just
their
not
second
that
job.
level yet. It's
This is
okay.
their second job.
They're doing
some
their
guys
best.
have gone. We've had some really good officials. A guy named Kevin Arnold was terrific, and Chris Karlovich. You know, there are certain guys that were really, really good, and some of them did move up the ladder. But some of these guys, it's just make a little extra money. They enjoy the game of basketball or football or baseball, and they just do it because they have a passion for the sport. But
they like being around the kids and keeps them young and gives them something to
they're
do.
They're going to make mistakes. When you tell kids officials make mistakes, guess what? We make mistakes too as players and coaches. We do too.
Absolutely.
Speaking of passion,
tee you up every now and then.
Speaking of passion for the sport, what about the passion for the sport of college football in the state of Florida, which is a disaster if you take out Miami? Of course, Miami's in Cuba. Miami's Cuba anyway. But Florida and Florida State, which one of these guys, which one of these coaches is going to be fired first? Billy Napier at Florida or Norvell at Florida State?
I think Billy Napier will be fired first. I think.
Oh my goodness!
I think it might be Norvell. I don't know. Well, Norvell's going to make a quarterback change, right? And then that
he's got to. He has to. He has to.
All these national champions between these schools, and these two guys together are making $17 million. How about that? And I don't understand, because the state of Florida has still got probably the most wealth of talent, right, of any state, maybe except Texas, right? Where did all the players go? They didn't go to Florida State anymore. What's the deal? Why is this happening?
The
other colleges are paying more money. Paying more money.
It's so easy to get kids to go all over the place now because, well, it's no longer, you're no longer selling the whole family on the kid coming here for 4 or 5 years. It's like a 1-year deal. And if you don't like it, you just go somewhere else, you know? So like, you don't need to stay close to home anymore. If you get homesick, you just transfer back. Get in the portal, get a little better NIL deal. I mean, I think that's part of it, but also if you don't recruit your state well, then people are going to get in there and get them. And everybody knows there's all kinds of diamonds in the rough in Florida. So everybody's recruiting Florida.
Yeah, Clemson we got Florida a lot, and they get a good number of players from Florida. So, but Curry, talk about college football. Talk about Tennessee, what they're doing next year.
Yeah, I called it a tax, but you called it a 10% increase in ticket prices, and they've come out and said it's going to the players. We're going to pay the players out of this money, right? And it's a 10% ticket, right?
Well, they already have an increase on the ticket prices for next season ticket holders, but on top of that increase, they're putting another 10%.
10%,
bringing more money for the players. So if you're a season ticket holder, Tennessee is undefeated, you're sitting there going, we want them to keep on bringing great players, and sure, I'll pay the extra 10%. Why not? You know?
Sure. Well, and Tennessee must have celebrated that. That thing came out after the game, though. I think after the game, which they played Kent State last week. I mean, speaking of running it up, they were up 30-0 in the first quarter, and they kicked an onside kick. Lord, I mean, Tennessee against Kent State, having Kent State at home, 31-0 onside kick. They ended up winning 71-0. I mean, come on, you talk about
at halftime. They had 65 points at halftime.
And they're doing onside kicks. Come on, Rich.
You know who got some run in that one is Hilton Head's own Gaston Moore, backup quarterback.
He had 2 touchdown passes.
4 for 4 for 94 yards and 2 TDs.
He went to Hilton Head High?
Hilton Head.
He went to Hilton Head Prep first.
Prep for a while, yeah, and then
Yeah.
transferred to Hilton Head High.
Yeah.
Went to UCF and walked on. Josh Heupel loved him, took him with him to Tennessee. And it's my understanding that Heupel really wants him to stick around on his staff as a grad transfer next year.
Oh, is that right? Wow.
If he doesn't get a shot in the NFL.
Like they play the prime time. They play at Oklahoma in the primetime game this Saturday. Ooh. So maybe if Tennessee starts running up, maybe he'll get in again.
I think Tennessee wins that game. What do you guys think? I think Tennessee beats Oklahoma at Oklahoma.
Oh, man.
Tennessee's ranked.
Homecoming for Heupel.
Heupel played there. He played there when they were national champions, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, that of all the stadiums that I covered games in the Big 12, that was the one that gave me the most chills, man. That place was
really
unbelievable. Just unbelievable on game day. I can't stand them, but when they got that Boomer Sooner going, whew, it was spooky in there.
Speaking of running it up, how about our friend Deion Sanders? So he's playing Colorado State in a state rivalry this, last week, which really turned around because he won the game easily. Of course, last year it was real close, and Colorado State did a lot of jawing after the game and before this game, and but they were running him out. Shedeur had a great game, and of course, who's the all-around guy for Colorado? Who should win the Heisman Trophy. He was terrific. Yeah, but it was late in the game. I think it was in the third quarter, and Deion is he's up 19 in the fourth, and he's throwing the ball all over the place to pad Shedeur's stats. I mean, I'm sure it was because even the announcers, Ross Tucker, who I know really well, and Rich Waltz, they were speculating that Deion was doing that he went over the head of his offensive coordinator, who's Pat Schumer, the NFL guy, who's been an NFL coach a lot of years. He said he would never do this to avoid injury with Shedeur. Right. I mean, in the last play, it was fourth down, and he's throwing the ball. He's up, in the last minute of the game. And what if Shedeur gets hurt on it? What do you, he got hit, by the way. It was an intercepted pass. He got hit. And, what goes if he gets hurt on that play, what's Deion going to say?
Right.
I mean, come on.
You invite cheap shots when you do that kind of stuff, too. When you're Bush League in that situation, you invite a guy to kind of lose his cool and launch himself at you and hurt you. So, I think everybody's kind of tired of Deion's shtick, right? Like it's wearing pretty thin, pretty fast.
It is.
Yeah, if they don't have a really good season, I think he's out of there with Shedeur. He's off to the NFL, don't you think?
Yeah. We said this last week. What college is going to take him on? He brings his circuits with him. I mean,
what NFL team wants him though? We've talked about how he's more figurehead than true coach. Like he's not. He relies on other people to do the coaching. I don't know that NFL guys are going to take his crap. I think they're going to look at him and go, what are you talking about, dude? Like, I'm a grown-ass man. You can't talk to me like that. So I just don't know how long.
That's why Bobby Knight never went to the NBA.
Right. Yeah. You can't talk to grown men like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it goes for him. But
I think to get back to your boys, Tennessee, up 31-0, kicking onside kicks. I think that's Bush League. I think it's weak. Absolutely. It's really weak. I mean, I don't know. Did anybody ask Heupel about it after the game? I don't know, but it's not something that I appreciate. Whatever.
No, that shouldn't happen. That should not.
We're just working on it. Just working on
it. What about? Do we have a college quarterback controversy at Texas? I mean, we got Clint Ewers, they were saying was the number one Heisman Trophy candidate until he got hurt in the game last week, and they put Arch Manning in, and he becomes the Heisman candidate.
Arch Manning looks like the real deal.
He does.
I mean, how about that touchdown run? His uncles neither of his uncles ever thought about running like that. I mean,
it was
like his
longer
grandfather.
Than he broke Vince Young's record, right?
Yeah.
He runs really? Wow. And he made that inside-outside move, which was terrific. Man, he had that guy.
He must love Texas to have gone there anyway, knowing he was going to sit. He was going to sit for a couple of years.
Right.
He must love that university. I mean, they must have recruited the heck out of him.
Yeah, I think more of his philosophy was probably more of, oh, sure, I'll sit. I'll sit until I win the job, and then I'll play. And he'll get in that portal and go somewhere else. Like that kind of has to be your mentality, is that I'm going to go take that job. And he doesn't look like the kind of guy who's going to give it up. So let's take a quick break and then talk a little baseball. And Curry will poke a little fun at the Solheim Cup. And we'll talk about how your friend Tony Kornheiser was impacted by that too. But coming up right after the break on Under the Bus. Back on an extended edition of Under the Bus. We don't have Bob here gatekeeping the time, and I just let you guys ramble. So we're moving toward an hour-long show tonight, but that's all good. Got Rich Basirico and Kirkpatrick with me, Justin Jarrett, founder of Loco Sports and Loco Media. And it's getting down to baseball season's crunch time, the time when my Chicago Cubs eliminate themselves with a pitiful series against the Oakland A's. But other teams are still in the race, and football is dominating, but it's about time to put it on the back shelf a few days a week, at least for baseball. You guys been diving in. I know, Rich, you're living and dying with the Yankees every night.
Well, Baltimore's helped them out a lot because they've been playing so poorly over weeks. The Yankees been playing better. But last night, did you hear what happened in last night's game against Seattle?
The weird stuff is weird stuff.
Oh my God! Seattle had bases loaded, 2 outs now, and a 3-0, 2 outs and a 3-0 count, 3-0 count, and the guy tries to steal home.
Victor Robles. Robles.
This is
no
Major
mas,
League
no
Baseball.
mas, Victor.
It's a 3-0 count. Where you go? Unbelievable. I've never seen that happen.
Did you see how far up the line he was, though? Did you see how far up the line? I can't believe the pitcher didn't just throw.
Well, the pitcher turned his back, and that's when he took off. But come on, it's 3-0 count. There's 2 outs. What are you doing,
dude? 3-0.
Well, it was the first inning, and the Yankees end up winning anyway, 11-2, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so but there's some weird stuff. How about Altuve taking off his sock and his shoe after he claims the ball hit him in the foot? Right. What was he trying to prove? I mean, how would showing his foot to the umpire show he got hit?
It was bruised. It was bruised.
A bruise?
Bruised.
Maybe they're they can't bang trash cans anymore, so maybe they're now putting bruises on themselves to ahead of time so they can show the umpire their bruises to get hit by pitches.
Well, they didn't go for it, that's for sure.
Wasn't he the same guy that came home and his uniform, his teammates all ripped his uniform off and they showed the sign stealing stuff under his uniform? But I'm surprised that's not a reviewable call.
Yeah.
Did you know that it's an unreviewable?
Why is it unreviewable?
Yeah. When the umpire calls a hit by pitch,
okay,
he can't review it. Now, a long time ago, I think Tony said the other day, Justin, on his show, that Gil Hodges a long time ago had the guy show his shoe had been scuffed by the ball, and that's how he or showed a uniform scuff on his uniform or something. And it turned the umpire's call around, but now it's unreviewable. This is weird stuff going on, and these are pennant race games, right?
Right.
I mean, the Altuve thing is Houston against San Diego.
Yeah.
Both of which are probably going to be in the playoffs.
Well, and Seattle is fighting for a wild card. Right. I mean, they're not totally out of it; they're fighting for that too. So. Some of the decision making is you can't explain it why.
And Ohtani now is at 48-48, but I heard a great stat just today that he's trying to do this 50-50 thing, which is unheard of. But he's already not already. If he finishes second in the league in stolen bases and home runs, if he finishes second, only two men have ever done that before. 08, Honus Wagner. In 1909, Ty Cobb.
Holy
Wow.
I mean, so he's
cow.
going to be in that club. He's probably going to be in that club as
I
well.
also heard that no one's ever done 50-25 before even.
Really?
So, he's in like rarefied air. I mean, I remember the rage about Canseco, doing 40-40, of course, which now we know is chemically enhanced Canseco that produced that. But Ohtani's unbelievable. And the fact that, his great value was the two-way player thing, and now he can't even pitch, and he's still probably the MVP. It's unbelievable. I also heard another stat that he was, forget what it was, but he was the first person to lead the league in home runs and stolen bases in a calendar month since Willie Mays, which was pretty unreal.
That's
some
pretty
pretty
good.
big, some pretty big names he's in with. Well, of course we understand because people compare him to Babe Ruth anyway.
Yeah,
they have a
much
long,
better athlete than Babe Ruth was.
Yeah.
Did you see that the Dodger manager said the other day he might pitch in the World Series if they make the World Series?
He
That
was
would
in
be
the
There's no way.
bullpen today.
Yeah,
I
he
was
had a
watching
bullpen
Sports
session.
Center.
He
He was
looked
in a
great.
bullpen session.
How about that as a
He looked
closer?
really good, didn't he, Rich?
He
He looked
did.
really good in the bullpen session.
How does a guy do what he's done 50-50 and he has pitchers
It's
too?
ridiculous. I got
That
another
would be
shout
unreal.
out.
If they could use him like the college guys that are the big boppers, and then they're also a closer, that would be unbelievable for them.
I got another shout out to another West Coast guy. I've got really quick. Luis, in fact, he's a Padre. Luis Arias, I think that's how you pronounce it. He finally struck out after 141 at bats. That's amazing. 141 at bats. And here's the thing about Arias. I didn't know this until I looked it up. He has a great nickname. Of course, he's Spanish, and they call him La Regadera, the sprinkler, because he's he won the batting. He's won the batting title with two different teams. He's about to win it with a third different team, and they call him the sprinkler.
Everywhere. I love that.
La Regadera.
He's in San Diego now, right? I love that because he feels like the closest thing we've had to Tony Gwynn since Tony Gwynn.
Exactly. And Gwynn had 170 at bats before striking out. That's the record. But,
is that right? Wow.
Yeah, but it's interesting. So this guy, the right-hander Arrighetti from Houston, struck him out, and everybody apparently in the stadium knew what was going on because there was this. They say there was this audible sigh in Petco Park when the guy struck out, and Arrighetti said, "I really respect the guy. What he does, he's absolutely crazy. It meant a lot to me to strike him out." And Arias said, as a matter of fact, the strikeout was very painful to me. And after he struck out, he got two more hits to left field, where he sprinkled hits. So it's amazing.
So the sprinkler was working. The sprinkler was working for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love that it was painful. I need to share that with my 14 and under boys. Like it pained him to strike out. It should hurt your heart to strike out, man. You lost the one-on-one battle.
Yes.
But no, I love the way he plays the game.
The one thing I don't understand is why he keeps getting traded. Why is he on his third team? He's such a great hitter.
I mean, I guess Minnesota needed to move him because for whatever reason, and they got good value for him. And then Miami just didn't have anything going on, and he had value, so you might as well flip him somewhere, I guess. But no, it makes no sense. The Padres should definitely hang on to him. But you wanted to, Curry, you wanted to throw the MLB under the bus for another disgusting cash grab.
Well, the cash grab is about logos. Did you hear this? Logos on helmets. They're going to play all the playoffs. Every player is going to have a logo on their helmet. They've never done this before. They've had patches for the past couple of years. A lot of teams, have advertising patches on their sleeves. But this is some European clothing company, and their logo is an ostrich. So they're going to have an ostrich. All our Major League Baseball players are going to have a foreign ostrich around their batting helmet. And as a matter of fact, next year, all of the minor leagues are going to wear it. What is baseball trying to do? Why would they do this?
It's like car racing. Have all the
well,
sponsors on the car all over the place. Before you know it, they'll have it on their forehead, their face, their arms, everything else. So we have
There you
people.
go. There you go.
Well, you know,
Sprouts.
Oh,
the
jeez.
the end is that it? Is there it is?
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. The little logo is an ostrich. If you can see it.
That's
Yeah.
awful.
I don't like it at all. Not
I
pure.
hate that. I don't like advertising on anything.
No. No,
It's so
not at all.
it's so
I'm on the
tacky.
Waves. I'm on the
Tacky.
board for the Bluffton Waves, and we unanimously voted no advertising on jerseys. You can sell sponsorships, but we are not putting advertising on.
I totally
Oh,
agree.
good for you guys. Good for
Totally
you.
agree.
Yeah, we're not for that.
Yeah,
Ugh.
you know the NBA and the NHL have started to add patches,
I
but
know.
you would think it'd be nice if baseball held itself to a higher standard and not
Well,
do this.
Maybe I sound like an old man. Maybe I sound like your generation here. But when I'm watching a sporting event, I would like to know who the teams are based on their uniforms. I don't want them to be some weird color that isn't associated with their team, and it says "Fly Emirates" across it. I'm like, well, which team is which? I have no idea. There's no like context clues to figure it out. So just put the name of the team on there. If you're on the road, you put, the town, and if you're at home, you put the mascot. That's how we've done it for a million years, and it makes sense. Can we just do that, please?
I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. I despise the Yankees putting that little patch on their sleeve from I don't even know if it's an insurance company. I don't even know what it is. I don't care.
George is rolling in his grave.
Wouldn't it be neat if some of these players refused to do this, like if La Regadera said, if the sprinkler, if La Regadera said, no mas, no, I'm not doing this.
Well, that's what they should say. The players should say, I want a piece of the action. You want me to wear this helmet? I want a piece of it.
Amen. Well, that's what happened with Ted Lasso, right? The one player stood up and he didn't want to have that evil oil company as a sponsor anymore. So,
Oh, right. Yeah.
There's a world where the athletes stand up and make change.
That's right.
It's not the one we live in. Solheim Cup, traffic jam in DC.
Well,
quite the night.
Aren't we a little overtime to do that? We can maybe save that for next week.
Yeah, Bob will have more to say about it anyway. So although I'm not sure when Bob is back, I may get a little run.
October 1st. It goes back October 1st.
Okay.
You may have a long run here, Jet.
I may get a little run here. I may get another shot before Bob makes it back from his travels. But no, it was great fun, boys. I enjoyed it. As I mentioned at the top, it's been something I've been sitting in the wings doing the producer thing, but always hoping for an opportunity to get to sit up here with you guys. So great time.
A lot of fun.
And thanks to Hudson's Seafood House on the docks for making it possible with their sponsorship. And definitely check them out if you're ever on Hilton Head Island. And if you live here, you're probably already a regular. Just about everybody is, especially when the tourists are gone, right, boys? That time of year, we can go to Hudson's this time of year.
There you go.
It's safe. Well, we'll see you next time, and I'll be back in half an hour or so on the Loco Sports Lowdown with
good.
And Max Haraj. We'll be talking high school sports in the Low Country, but we'll be back next week for another edition of Under the Bus. So for Rich Basirico and Curry Kirkpatrick and the far-flung Bob Stevens, I'm Justin Jarrett. Till next time, go Loco.
Under the Bus is a production of the Loco Media Network and is filmed on the Hilton Head Island campus of the University of South Carolina, Beaufort. The executive producer is Justin Jarrett, with assistance from Trey Ramsey, Mahogany Hickman, and Adam Carroll.